here we have the AMS Alpha heat exchanger. This is the factory one. It is a little over twice the size of the factory heat exchanger. So you will be able to dissipate more heat. Intercoolers will run significantly cooler.
All right, we are unboxing our next set of goodies that we're going to be putting on this Q50. Probably don't have to guess what they are. They are the AMS Alpha intakes. So the awesome thing about these intakes, guys, they're totally blocked off with their own plastic shrouding, right? So this is going to prevent heat from getting into the intakes. You have the openings here for the factory ducting to get fresh air in. A lot of guys remove them because they want to hear the intakes, but that does provide function. It actually helps get cool airflow into the air filters. And we've got molded silicone couplers, make the install factory. We've got our breather port there and all the hardware we're gonna use. So best of all, we have our CARB executive order number sticker in there.
Alright, so fasten tensions is actually really cool. So by the style of the pipe, it has like a bit of a bend to it that kind of goes down. And the way you can tell which one's driver, which one's passengers is by the dimples marked on the flanges for these lead pipes. Check that out. So you'll see two dimples right here. This will indicate the passenger side dimple. So we'll show that right now once everything's mocked up. Okay, so once you got on the lead pipes, to know that you have it on the correct way, you will notice dimples, like I mentioned earlier. So driver side, one dimple, passenger side, you'll have the two dimples. Do not tighten your hardware yet. You will start to tighten everything once, you'll start to tighten from front to back once everything is completely on. So now we have our resonated X pipe. We're gonna stick this in, but we're gonna make sure we have the fasten tensions logo on the correct way. We have to have it facing the right way. If not, we might have some fitment issues. So yeah, always pay attention to that. We're gonna slide this on. Slip this guy on. So as you can see here, we have our driver's side factory intake. So what you're gonna wanna do is you remove the mat, you take off these two Phillips screwdrivers. It's gonna come with an O-ring. You remove the O-ring, and then this is the crucial part, separating the mat from the actual factory inlet pipe. So what you're gonna wanna do is you wanna get a pocket screwdriver, a pick or something, and push the metal clip up on one side, and you're gonna go to the other side, do the same thing. You're gonna pull it forward towards you, and the mat will just slip right out.
Okay, so we've installed our heat exchanger. The next thing we're gonna do, everything's connected, everything's all hooked up as far as the coolant lines and everything for the heat exchanger. But what we still see happen is we'll get cars that come in for the dyno, and you get a DIYer who installs their heat exchanger, just simply fills up the reservoir and maybe runs it for a little bit and then fills it up again. So we're gonna get all of that air out of the system. And then after that, we're gonna make sure that we can bleed it and run the car for a little bit. And sometimes we'll need to add a little bit more coolant. So even with this system, you still wanna make sure that you get it bled. We'll run it. We can actually activate the heat exchanger pump using the Ecutech Bluetooth adapter. So we'll run the pump at 100% at idle and make sure we get even any other pockets of air out of there. So take a look and see how we do it.
Once we evacuate everything out of the coolant lines, we're going to want to see the pressure drop to like about 23, 24 psi. We're going to want to watch that, make sure it holds for about a minute or so, just to ensure that there's no leaks anywhere. And then once that's over, we're going to go over here. We're going to open up the coolant gate. Since everything's in a vacuum, it's going to suck up the coolant. It's going to exchange the space with coolant.
If you put your fingers on that, make it look like you're going to touch that little valve.
Oh, I am going to touch it right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do that really quick since the air hose itself actually had some air in it prior. Okay. Now once that is done, ball valve for the coolant, and then we'll watch this needle go all the way down to 0. Once it gets to 0, that's when we'll know for sure it's full. And then we can turn on the car. 0. Now we know the system is bled. Good to go.
Okay, so we've concluded our tuning session on the Q. Up on the dyno screen, we've got the baseline with all the mods and the difference with the tune. You can see the tune makes a substantial difference, right? So we have the ability to control boost, and you can see that right where I have the cursor, which is right before 4,500, it's about 4,400. We gained about 120 foot-pounds of torque right at 4,400 RPM. Pretty substantial. Peak power did really good, but it's the area under all those peak values where it did really, really well. So peak power is 422.9, almost 423, and about 440 foot-pounds, so 438. I try not to push these too hard. The VR30 does have issues with knock, detonation. You don't want to go nuts on 91. Definitely go more aggressive with like an E30, 40 mix, or full E85 will definitely help, but R91 isn't all that great, especially here in California, and you don't know what you're getting sometimes, so we don't want to go too crazy. We've got 17 pounds of boost into this thing, so we've raised it up like another 5 PSI from where it was, but it did really good, respectable power, and should be able to enjoy this thing for a long time. So I'm happy, customer's happy.